Hey guys, Umar here for Architecture Daily Sketches, and for this video we're going to discuss coloring with color pencils. So this is an example of a site drawing that I did, and I'm going to try and recreate something like this and teach you guys how to color like this. This was a hand-drawn work that I did for year 1, semester 1 in architecture school. So first things first, you're gonna need your color pencils. And this is the set that I use and have. It's a very basic set. It's incredibly cheap. It's 6 ringgit 90 cents. That's about, I think, about $1.50 USD. There's 12 color pencils in here, and you can see the ones that I've used the most. Now, an interesting thing that I want to mention is that Eric from 30 by 40, he did a recent video on the kinds of markers that you would need for architectural sketching, and he mentioned that you only need 3 basic color groups for architectural sketching. So he showed a group of markers that are all yellows, a group of markers that are blues, and a group of markers that are greens. And he said that that was the basic color groups that you would need for architectural sketching. And I found that quite surprising. I never realized that, but it is actually kind of inherently true, because when I check my color pencils here, you can see also that the ones that are most worn out are the yellows, blues, and greens alongside the monochromes. So being inherently true, you can actually be mindful of that next time you go and buy your coloring tools. Could save a lot of money, just so you know. Alongside the color pencils, you will also need some pens and pencils to draw out anything, or the site plan first. Now, the site plan that I'm going to try and draw out is going to be a natural one. So it's going to be mostly grass, water, some trees. So it's going to be a lot of, again, yellows, blues, and greens. For the water, I'm going to use these 2 different blues, a light blue and a dark blue. For the trees and for the grass, I will be using these 2 greens and the yellow, and I will also include a little bit of brown as well. These are the only colors that you would need. Now, a good tip when you are using color pencils is to really use very light pressure. You never ever want to press very heavily like this. You want to ensure that you have as broad a stroke as you can possibly get, so therefore you angle your pencil color like this, as low as you can go, and color very lightly. I'm not sure if it's even visible on the screen, but it should only have like a slight hue to it. Because these drawings are very, very subtle, you don't want to overpower with stark and very gritty texture with the pencil colors. If you've been following the way that I was coloring, I only drew in a single stroke like this, in this single direction. This helps to keep the texture quite uniform, because sometimes I see that people would they would color in one direction and then they would spin the crayon around, or they would do this. That's good if you want to add a lot of texture to it. So maybe that will be good if you do that for a tree or a small plant perhaps. But if you're doing like an overall wash of color, it's good to keep the texture very uniform so that it will look very, very peaceful in a way. Now I'm gonna go in with the same pencil but with a slightly heavier pressure, and I'm only going to focus around the edge because I want to give it a slight ombre that will show that this part of the water is close to land. For the final touch, I'm gonna use this darker one and just lightly color the edge. Now the water is done, let's move on to the trees. Now usually for trees, I like to color all of the inside here with the lighter color and then just give it a slight gradient around the edge with a darker color. Now to make the tree look a little bit brighter, you can actually go in with a little bit of yellow. Now I'm going to move on to the ground. For the ground, I'm going to color it pretty much in the same way that I've colored the water, where I use a very light overall tone, and then I'm going to because I have all of these little gradient lines, these contour lines, I'm going to gradient it to be slightly heavier or darker at the edge to show that it's tapering down. Usually for the ground, I like to accentuate bits of patchy bare land with some brown. Now I'm just going to touch up a little bit with some ink here. Maybe I'll add some shadows as well for the trees, just to make it pop out a little bit. Now here's a little tip. In color, shadow is not actually black. Shadow is a darker color of whatever shadow is being cast on it. So for example, this is grass, right? And it's green. So the shadow on it won't actually be black, it will be a darker green color. Okay, so to sum up guys, I drew the site plan roughly using a pencil, and then I drew out the outline in ink in both a thin line weight and a thick line weight, and all of the coloring I used this very limited palette of color pencils. And again, some of the principles that I used just now is to have broad strokes with a very light hand and to angle the pencil almost flat to the paper. And then to emphasize the edge of certain drawn elements, you can emphasize it by darkening it slightly. So that means a light overall color and a dark edge, just to give it a little bit more 3D essence to it. So that's it guys. Like the video and share it around with your friends. Drop us some comments down there, what you think about this tutorial. Did it help you? Did it not help you? And suggest to us other kinds of tutorials that you want to do, or any kinds of topics that you want us to discuss and turn into a video. We'll try and help out as much as we can. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.